The Harlem Renaissance by Kameron Burnett. What is the Harlem Renaissance? The Harlem Renaissance was a social, rational, and extensional explosion of African Americans. This artistic movement was centered in Harlem, New York, and Manhattan. Founded in the early 20th century, in this time period was known as the golden age for African American community. The Harlem Renaissance, also known as the New Negro Movement, took place during the 1920s. Why is this movement significant? The Harlem Renaissance was a crossroad in African American cultural history. This artistic movement allowed African American artists and writers to control their narrative and their representation of Black culture. The Harlem Renaissance was the kickstart to a creative and more equalized platform for the African Americans in the literary and entertainment industry. African Americans sought to break the Victorian morals value and the materialistic shame brought upon their lives. The Black community wanted to alter the way others saw them and discredit racist beliefs. The effects on the culture. Harlem Renaissance addressed the African American culture. In order to understand how the Harlem Renaissance was birthed, it is important to understand the Great Migration. This period lasted from 1916 to 1970, was attributed to the start of the Harlem Renaissance. The Jim Crow segregation laws and the start of World War I are also both credited in what we know as the Harlem Renaissance. Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes was an African-American poet and social activist. The Negro Speaks of Rivers was the groundbreaking to the African-American nation. This piece of poetry conveyed the issues faced by African Americans with mixed culture, music, and beyonce. The main idea of the Negro Speaks of River talks about the historical existence and provenance of African American race. This poem symbolically associates the fate of the speaker and his African American community to the perpetual and powerful force of the earth. More specifically, he's symbolizing the river. The river illustrates both dominance and power, but also expresses a sense of comfort. Impact. The Harlem Renaissance would later impact the civil rights movement. It helped birth some of the most genius African American artists in our history, allowing them to be free to create and represent the Black culture. I learned that since the Harlem Renaissance, African Americans have become more committed to political activism and built new social consciousness. The Harlem Renaissance also gave African Americans a place in Western high culture.